Hi everybody, Eve Everett here, and today I'm going to talk about what sells on eBay, scarves, and also be on the lookout scarves that are fairly easy to find and resell quickly. And in addition to that, I will give you a few quick points of interest. And finally, I apologize for this very loud air conditioner from the late 50s. Few points of interest first. First of all, I apologize for not getting a video out last week. It just didn't happen. My life was somewhat like this, one of my favorite 80s game shows, Pressure Luck, where, you know, you get whammies or you randomly press your buzzer, you might get the 4,000 plus one spin. It was just kind of a crazy week, and I didn't have a lot of predictability in my life last week, so I apologize for not getting that video out to you. Second of all, this video is going to be a compilation of scarves, like I just said, but also I'm going to throw in some of my sales over the last month or so. And remember, it's simply -- vintage on eBay. So if you want to check out that's my seller account for YouTube. That way you can follow things along from start to finish, see how I'm doing. And my other account that I do my themed YouTube videos from, I do not disclose, and I usually wait past 90 days before I compile a video that's themed, like scarves, because it's just a crazy world out there. You never know what's going to happen. But on the other hand, I want to make sure that everybody knows that I'm the real deal. So that's one of the reasons why I have the Simply Vintage eBay account, so that you guys can enjoy the ride with me and check it out. But if you have any questions about anything at all, you can always email me. It's eve@eveeverett.com. And and if you have not subscribed or passed the good news along about how super cool I am with these videos, please do so. It's always nice to see more subscribers, and it just gives me a little bit of a boost to keep going, and I sure would appreciate it. Okay, onwards. All right, this is a Cornelia James Birds of the British Isles blue scarf, and it took me, kind of surprised me. I thought I would get rid of this in a month or two, but it actually took me a year and a month to sell this, and I sold it for $34. Just so you know, obviously, you know, we're all looking for the big name scarves like Hermes, Ralph Lauren, and all that. But keep in mind, some of the best performing scarves, besides obviously the other brands like Banana Republic, Talbots, etc., you know, you want to look for themes. Like, you want to look for scarves that are going to interest, like, dog collectors or cat collectors. You know, take a look at that stuff, because even though something might not be to your taste, often you'll find that there's a wide range of people with a wide range of tastes, and certain scarves are going to appeal to them as opposed to you. So when I'm out looking at accessories, because I think personally, and I'm being sexist here, but I guess I can get away with it, I think that when women buy scarves when they're out and they're, you know, looking for an eye for reselling, sometimes they don't take into account as much as they should that the fact that they're going to be selling and catering to many, many, many other people. Like, I know that when I first started out, and even to some extent to this day, there's certain scarves that I'm not really interested in. But again, you have to kind of keep in mind, well, I may not like this scarf, but who will? And sometimes the answer is, well, there's a ton of people that will like this, but I don't like it. Well, you buy it anyway if you can get it for a good price, because you're not selling to you, you're selling to everybody else. Okay, so let's check out some more scarves. Okay, and this is a perfect example of a winter scarf that I really didn't like. This was a Demans Paris scarf, 62 inches long, wool blend, and it took me under 4 months to sell this for $22 shipped. Here's another scarf or bandana I'm not too crazy about. I'm not really into Boy Scout stuff. I don't know why, because it sells really well, especially if you know your stuff. I posted this, and admittedly, it did take a while for me to sell this. It looks like it took about 10 months. That is a vintage Boy Scouts plaid bandana scarf with the original clip, and I sold this for $25. Again, on my own, would I really like this item? Probably not, but again, we're talking about what other people like. That's what we want to sell. We're selling to other people. So again, although I'm not terribly interested in vintage Boy Scouts items, I do know that they sell, and I sold this for 25 bucks. Oh, by the way, went to West Virginia. Okay, let's take a look at some scarves that I think are very pretty. And this is a Museum of Fine Arts in Boston lilac floral silk scarf. Really, really pretty. Very good condition. It didn't have any spots or scuffs or smudges on it. It's 100% silk. And I sold this for $49.99. And let's see, it took me under 2 months to sell. And that shipped out to Maryland. One thing, guys and girls, sorry, when you're looking at scarves, look at those labels. And for example, any museum scarf is going to be of interest to somebody. Usually museum scarves and ties are done very well. They look very nice, and people hunt for them on eBay. So anyway, Museum of Fine Arts of Boston scarf for $49.99. And real quick, here's the tag shot of that scarf. As you can see, this one was made in Korea, so this would also fall under vintage as well. Probably 80s to mid-90s, in my opinion. For some people, the whole point of wearing a scarf is to have a pretty adornment on them. And this is a Ralph Lauren floral silk scarf from the 80s. And this had some damage to it. It had some smudges on it. I pointed them out. And, I picked it up because it still had the tags on it. As I was saying, Ralph Lauren scarf with tags, but this did have some spots and damage. I originally started it at $79, even though I probably should have realized I wouldn't get $79 for it. I ended up going back and forth with a lady in California, and it sold for $32. It took me a little under, oh boy, looks like this one took me about a year and 8 months to sell. So I guess the point being, vintage Ralph Lauren can do quite well, but anything that's going to have damage on it is going to take a little longer to move. And if you're okay with that, you can make money off them. This was a large Evan Picone black equestrian wrap scarf. Very large scarf. And it had a moth chew on one edge, and I looked through the rest of it, didn't see anything else in terms of damage on it. And the theme equestrian, I think, always does well. This did sell. It did take a little while for me to move. Looks like it took about a year and a half, and I sold it for $24. This is a collaboration between Ford Motor Company and Lilly Pulitzer that they did for breast cancer awareness. I put the keywords into eBay for the title as Lilly Pulitzer Ford Pink Butterfly Floral Silk Scarf. And I sold this for $20. It took me about, this took a year to move. And what was strange about it is I had that one, and I had a few other Lilly Pulitzer Ford scarves up as well. And they all sold within 2.5 weeks to different people. Otherwise, they sat like rocks for a while. But I guess that's how it is sometimes. This is the Lilly signature for scarves. So if you see that, pick those up. But again, this is for the Ford Lilly scarf. For those of you that are familiar with Missoni, you'll notice the orange tag to the left there and their iconic woven zigzag design there. And this sold for $119, and I shipped it to Russia. It took me a little under 9 months to sell. This is a Pierre Balmain. Oh, my French is awful. Balmain. There you go. Pierre Balmain. Balmain scarf. 100% silk. From the 80s. The typical muddy, brown, orangey colors that, we kind of grew. Actually, probably mid-70s to 80s. But I did get $39 for it. So if you do see that brand floating around, be sure to grab it. It took me about 4.5 months to sell, shipped it to the UK. This is a Harrods Ascot. It's a 100% silk square, 24 inches by 24 inches with a more of a masculine design to it, really. And I sold this for $24 in under 3 months. And by the way, guys, in case you haven't noticed, I feel off my game today. There's really no flow here, so I apologize for that. I really don't know. I have a lion head rabbit. From time to time, you've heard a rabbit in my other videos, and I don't know whether it's like a bad news day for her or what. I mean, she's throwing around her entire cage, so I'm kind of getting interrupted along the way here. So my apologies. It's just been one of those weird days. Maybe it's a full moon. This is a vintage 80s Romeo Giggly purple, red, tan wool scarf, and about 68 inches long by 19.5 wide. This is an example of a winter scarf that I really disliked. I don't like the colors. There's really nothing about this that I like. Here's the tag shot for him. Oh, by the way, Alexander McQueen acted as his fashion assistant for a while before he branched out on his own. And Romeo Giggly did a lot of like body hugging dresses, but then they would have like these bubble skirts to them. So in the late 80s, he did quite well for himself. And unfortunately, he got involved in a business dispute and kind of lost it from there, and is recently trying to make a comeback, but I don't know. Fashion is very fickle, so we'll see. But anyway, Romeo Giggly, you'll probably see vintage items out there. They're usually worth picking up. So again, I sold this for 25 bucks to Malaysia. This is a Ralph Lauren Rugby long striped scarf, and as you can see, it's got the RLFC initials under a griffin, lion, and the tag shot there you can see. This had some funky action going on with the fringe. I did kind of comb it out a little bit. I didn't spend too much time messing with it though, and I disclosed that in the listing, and it sold in about 2.5 months for $24, shipped to Virginia Beach. This is a Kimichi blue infinity scarf. It has lace trim on the bottom there. Kimichi blue is usually sold out of Urban Outfitters, so in my title I put Kimichi blue Urban Outfitters watercolor lace scarf, and I sold that for $23.99, and it took me about, let's see, took me 2.5 months to unload that one, shipped to North Carolina. I thought this was really cool. It's a Amtrak California Zephyr bandana, 100% cotton, measured about 20 inches by 20 inches, good condition, had like a little smudge on the side, and I sold that in under a month for 20 bucks. And I picked this up, and I picked up this one and the last one at the Weigh and Go, and some of the others, well, for the most part, I think I picked up at a local thrift shop in the area. This is a Robin Ruth Punta Cana scarf, and it's got a very vibrant holiday motif with Punta Cana written in a bold print. Robin Ruth does a lot of these bold prints with letters on them. New York City, LA, all kinds of things like that. But mostly she does these large fonts on items like scarves, totes, things of that nature. So if you see a Robin Ruth item, take a look at how it's doing online before you put it back. I know some people are put off by bold lettering on fabric for some reason. I can't say I'm a big fan of this one, but I was able to sell this in under 2 months for 22 bucks, so that's pretty good. Alright, let's take a look at some vintage scarves now. This is a Designs by Anthony Computer Das Unix scarf. As you can see, it has a very specific theme. Would be ideal for someone who is into vintage computers or electronics, and so I picked this up at the Weigh and Go for pennies probably, because it can possibly weigh more than a half pound, quarter pound maybe. I sold this in under 2 months for 20 bucks. And by the way, the next ones we're going to be going through are vintage. Vintage items, I think, are, you know, you don't come across them too easily, but you can find them, and when you do, if you group them correctly, or if you find certain ones, you're going to do very well. So don't be uncomfortable with vintage. Vintage is your friend. This is a Schiaparelli vintage color block silk scarf, 22.5 inches by 22.5 inches, and I sold this for $28. And it took me under a month to move because Schiaparelli tends to move, whether it's their perfume or designs. That is still a brand that does very well. She's very prominent, right up there with Coco Chanel in the post-World War II era. And I don't know, she's kind of faded away. It's a shame because the name was rather well known and important back in the day. But she still sells well. I also sold a pair of cat's eye glasses with the case. I kind of scrapped with a, I won't even say the person's name, but I scrapped over these glasses with a very well-known person who has had her own television show. And names were called. I tried to be nice about it, but it's an auction. There's no friends at auctions, and I ended up getting that Schiaparelli cat's eye glasses with a box lot of things. Thankfully, I won the box lot, and I sold that alone for $149, and I did very well on the lot, and I guess I should thank this person for letting me have the lot, but she was not a happy camper, and I can see why. So this is a 3-piece lot of novelty scarves from the, I would say, mid-60s. We got penguins, butterflies, and there's a little orange silk novelty print. It's like something you would put on a shirt. It was pretty small. So I threw that all in as a lot, and I sold that for $22. And the reason it didn't price higher than that is because there were just some small, like pinhead size holes and things like that. So I sold that for $22 in 4.5 months, shipped to New York. Same sort of deal with these. They had some minor boo-boos to them. I think the reason this lot sold was the very kitschy looking scarf there with the shoe and the kitchen items, and I sold that for $22 as well. It took about the same time to sell. This is a really cool Brooke Cadwallader Fritz Cradell 34 inches by 34 inches military scarf. It has a signature and inked number at the bottom left. I sold that for $79.99 in 2 days, which probably means I underpriced it. But $79.99 in 2 days is not bad for this item, and it's just a really cool scarf. Reminds me of something that Scavenger Life would sell, but beyond that, that is where any comparison would end, because Scavenger Life, they're responsible, they're adults, they get along really well, they give great advice, and me, I give great advice for eBay and Amazon, but everything else, not so much. I mean, Scavenger Life is like, oh, you should save your money and have a retirement account and buy rental properties and rent to people. That way you have other sources of income. Me, I'm like, I'm just going to blow my money on dumb crap, and I'm going to buy classic cars and just maybe never drive them and sell them and hope to break even. I did, in my defense, do really well with the Mustang, though. I got to say that. But, yeah, they're pretty much responsible, and me, not so much. But eBay and Amazon, I think I know my stuff there. You know, Scavenger Life, they're kind of like, oh, please do work and be productive while you're listening to us. I mean, they're like the NPR of resellers, and I love them. I mean, they're really good at what they say. You should listen to them. Me, on the other hand, I'm like, oh, yeah, I don't know. Why don't you just goof around and do nothing all day? I mean, it's not like you have to pay your bills, right? You can just do whatever the hell you want. Oh, and that's the other thing. They clearly never ever curse me. I do the best that I can, but let's face it, a curse is going to slip out once in a while. You know, Scavenger Life people, oh, we like each other. We're very amicable, and if we have a little tiff, we certainly don't do it where anyone would ever see it, and we get along great. My partner and I, he's like passive aggressive, and I'm like, oh my God, you're making me completely nuts, and I really hope I don't end up in prison. So, yeah, a little bit of a contrast there. So, but anyway, to get back on track here, really highly recommend listening to Scavenger Life. My life is like a train wreck wrapped in a Sharknado of hell. So, you know, I think my Amazon and my eBay advice is really good. I'm very good at flipping and reselling, but pretty much anything else, probably not so much. I know, what the hell just happened there, right? Anyway, this is the ink number that I was telling you about on that Fritz Cradell, which sold for $79.99. This is a really awesome 1950s rodeo print, that Western print rather, that sold for $35 in about 2 months. And to wrap up this portion of the video, this is one of those wool 1980s scarves. This one is by Oscar de la Renta for Accessory Place, also sold for $34. Alright, and now for your moment of zen. Actually, this is a really cool, actually existing rock pathway, all hand done. Very awesome. I'm definitely going to make this a screensaver for my iPad. But anyway, it also makes a nice starting point for the rest of the video, which is going to be about my Simply Vintage account on eBay. So I'm going to show you a couple things that I've been doing over the last month or two, and check it out. This is a pair of Arche flats, A-R-C-H-E, and they're made in France, and some of these pairs can go for quite a bit of money if you're willing to wait. Other people just kind of throw them out there and get rid of them for like 30 bucks. But if you wait and they're in good condition, you can get more for them. I got $74.99. And also, one thing you have to keep in mind about Arche is they're very popular shoes, I think, to get. However, they size strangely. This was actually, I would say, a half size to a whole size larger than the actual size listed on the shoe. So if you get a brand you're not familiar with, take a few seconds to do a little bit of research on it to see, because it can make a big difference. Like, for example, Fluevogs, F-L-U-E-V-O-G, look them up. John Fluvog has his own site where you can actually sell them to other Fluvog fans. But the sizing on them is bizarre. Like a size 6 actually wears like a size 9 for women. So any brand that you're just jumping into, it's really important that you just do the research a little bit. And first of all, see if it's worth anything. And second of all, when you look at them, see if their sizing is a little off. Otherwise, you're just going to get a return. Anyway, these Arche flats sold for $74.99. This is an Orla Kiley, K-I-E-L-Y, handbag, whacked canvas. And I sold this, this is the linear stem style, which is more popular than some of the other styles that she has. I know she went off and did some things for Target, but this is not a Target item. And this one sold in about, oh gosh, let me try to remember here. I think I sold this one in under a month for $64.99. This is a Mosey out of Oregon. It's M-O-S-E-Y. It's a vegan handbag line that they do. Mosey sells pretty good. I sold this for $54.99 shipped. And what was interesting about this pocketbook was that I bought it off of a online auction ended up with shipping being about 12 bucks. So I posted it and flipped it for $54.99, and I think between that and taking out the fees, it probably came in around the $32 range, $35 range in terms of net. Not bad. It's not really the spread that I like, but it did sell quickly, and so I can't complain. Oh, Mosey does a lot of vegan items, which is another reason this probably sold as well as it did. This is a YSL Yves Saint Laurent postcard denim tote. For some reason, eBay says it sold for $175. I took a best offer for $100 from another reseller, and apparently I had some of the keywords wrong for this item. She tends to, I forget what it's called, but there's a certain name for this type of bag. Like, apparently they did an entire line of these like postcard prints. Anyway, $100 is fine for me. Sold in under 2 weeks. All right, this is a bit of an experiment for me. It's a Philips home theater system, but it is only the unit. It doesn't have a remote or speakers or anything else. This particular unit is pretty popular for some reason. I don't know why it is. eBay says I sold it for $81, but I took a best offer of, I think it was like, pretty sure it was like 60 bucks. I got this at a Weigh and Go. I tested it by like turning it on and pressing buttons, which is awful, but I didn't really have anything to hook it to. So anyway, I took a best offer for 60 and provided that, oh, and I did ground with FedEx, which ended up being about 18 bucks. So assuming this person doesn't want a return, which I really hope they don't. I don't do a ton of electronics, but I would like to get into it. I think my net at the end of the day will be around 30 bucks, 32 bucks, but it sold in days. So it might be worth it. I'll let you know how it ends up. But there you have it, Philips home theater unit for 60 bucks. All right, and to wrap things up for now, this is a Brooks Brothers alligator strap. These are sold at Brooks Brothers without the buckle. You add your own buckle. If you go to their website, you'll see that they're very, very expensive. I took a best offer for $180 from a very nice guy in DC, and I hope he enjoys it. So if you see those Brooks Brothers alligator straps, definitely grab them. Oops. Oh, and there you go. That's the, as you can see, that's the model number and the name of the manufacturer, Brooks Brothers. And there you have it, guys. Grab those alligator belts. Anyway, have a great week and good hunting.